In this video, I will be discussing common dog body language and behaviors, specifically displacement behaviors, which dogs use to demonstrate discomfort and stress. Keep watching. What's up, guys? It's Jenna with Dog Liaison, where I coach you on how to enhance your dog's mental health. And on this channel, we break down scientific research in order to inform us on how to educate and train dogs. Today, we are talking about dog body language, specifically displacement behaviors, which are behaviors dogs offer in cases of discomfort or stress. They are literally behaviors that are out of place, behaviors that would commonly be displayed in another situation, but instead are being displayed right here because the dog is feeling awkward. This is a part 4 of a 4-part series. There are 3 preceding videos that I highly recommend you check out if you haven't already. All of the videos are in the description box below. Check them out after this one, and let's get started on displacement behaviors. Displacement behaviors are commonly displayed when the dog is approaching threshold, but they can also be displayed early on in the mild discomfort stages. Very common to calming signals, which we discussed in part 2, these behaviors tend to be confusing for the common dog owner because they can occur at many different phases in the stress sequence. They can occur at many different points, and it's important that you individualize it to your dog. So, like the disclaimers that I've given in the preceding videos, I want you to know that everything that I'm talking about here is highly generalized in broad terms, and it's important that you understand how to apply it to your individual dog. We are going to start off by talking in big objective factual context, more observable behaviors that are without emotion, and then at the end or in the second half of this video I will be talking about more subjective perspectives and give you a little bit more insight into what the consensus is on these behaviors as far as what emotion is motivating them. So to begin with, I want you to think of the displacement behavior like the kid in the class who's giving his very first presentation. The example I always use is you've got a 4th grader who's giving his first class presentation. What he typically might do is glue himself to the board and talk really fast and look everywhere else, and his hands start palming and he kind of like this, and it's very awkward and it's weird. They are behaviors that a person might display that are out of context, and the only reason they're giving those behaviors is because they're uncomfortable or stressed or overwhelmed. Now, in part 2 and part 3, where we talked about appeasing behaviors and calming signals, there were some examples of displacement behaviors in there. Some of it being the play bow, the shake, the yawn, laying on the ground and offering a belly rub. These are all things that dogs will do that are out of context, that are unusual for the situation. So if you don't know about those couple of behaviors, recommend you check out those videos. Today we are going to talk about the behaviors that I haven't spoken about yet that are considered displacement behaviors as well. So some examples of displacement behaviors include scratching, sneezing, biting paws or another body part, jumping up on you, and having an awkward standing position. Scratching and sneezing are ways for the dogs to release tension from the body. It is a way to release oxygen effectively. You can think of it as a release of tension, very similar to the shake off. Biting paws or another body part is indicative of a compulsive behavior. It tends to happen on autopilot, and if not treated, it actually can cause a lot of physical harm as well. You know, dogs can get very injured by mauling themselves. Jumping on the owner often occurs as a flight response or when the dog feels clueless. So a lot of times the dog might have a question and say, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, so they turn to a trustworthy source. Awkward standing positions can result in the dog looking like a square or looking like a triangle, but more specifically, it tends to look when the dog's standing position is just like literally the paws are placed in a weird spot. So literally, like, instead of having them even 1 and 2, you might have like 1 and 2, right? And those are like the paws are just looking weird. In a standing position, you might also notice that the dog is not exactly level. You may notice that his hind legs look taller than his front legs. Let's start graduating into the more subjective behaviors, what you not necessarily can't see, but what we speculate to be going on. Starting off with the scratch. When we have a dog that is scratching their ear or scratching their neck, for example, a lot of times owners overlook this one. This is a very commonly overlooked behavior that we deem as, well, the dog had an itch, or the dog needed, the collar was scratching him, or very commonly, my dog doesn't usually wear collars, so now he's scratching for that. That is entirely possible. It is, like, absolutely, okay? But if you're seeing these other stress signals, if you're seeing where the dog is maybe doing some appeasing behaviors, or maybe he's also giving some lip licks, or maybe he's also doing some of these other stress signals that we've talked about in the other videos, and he's scratching his ear, this is a uncomfortable situation for him. He is awkward and he is feeling a little bit clueless. Biting paws and self-mutilation, in my experience, is a much more severe case of anxiety. I've seen it where most times when I see that, the dog is dealing with anxiety, not just fear. Dogs can get seriously hurt by them just chewing themselves to death. And we need to make sure that we are aware that that very commonly is a higher level of mental health disorder that needs intervention. When a dog jumps on the owner, this is usually deemed as a bad thing worth correcting, or potentially it's even rewarded with a yes, because, you know, maybe they give you eye contact or something, and sometimes it's just cute and the person likes it. Neither of those should really happen. We are looking for opportunities for the dog to be brave, and generally speaking, when the dog is jumping up on you, that is demonstrating to you that they aren't necessarily feeling very brave. That being said, when a dog jumps up on you, they're also saying, I don't know what else I should be doing. So tell the dog what else they should be doing, right? If they're looking at you going, I'm clueless, I need help, here, walk me through this process, do exactly that. You don't necessarily need to reward the jump, just tell them what they should be doing instead. Help a sister out, right? It's not that you are correcting the jump, it's not that you're saying no, bad dog, and it's not that you are necessarily saying yes, good dog. It's that you're saying, I want you to do something else instead. This is what you should be giving alternatively. Personally, displacement behaviors are one of my favorite things to study up on, to learn, just because they can come in such a wide variety. Displacement behaviors are the epitome of context changing everything. When you change the context, when you change the situation of the behavior changes everything. So displacement behaviors are, in my experience, one of the most useful tools that dogs give us to have insight into how they're feeling. With that said, they're also very complicated for the common dog owner. And, you know, if you just message me on Instagram right now and say, hey, my dog, you know, mauls his foot, do you think that means that he's anxious? I don't know. How would I ever know that? Because the thing is it depends on the context. I need way more information, because he very well could be just chewing on his foot because his nails are long. I mean, how am I supposed to know? And the same goes for something like a play bow. If it goes, well, my dog play bows at me every single time that he gets out of the crate, do you think that means that he's stressed or that he's apologizing? Well, no. I mean, if he was in the crate and he was just sleeping, probably the play bow is acting as a stretch, right? And he's probably just waking up. So the context of the situation changes everything. And that's one of the reasons why having more insight will help you, because you'll be able to see something and go, okay, you know what? Yes, she does this commonly, but she also is in this situation with that stimulus, and she's given me a lip lick, and she's yawning, and she's looking for a flight response. So that tells me that this play bow or this whatever that she just did is a stress signal. Make sure, if you have any questions on your individual dog's stress signals, on your individual dog's behavior, make sure you tell me in the comments below. When you're asking a question, try to be as specific and contextual as possible, because if you talk in vague general terms, I'm going to talk in general vague terms. The more I know about your individual dog's circumstances, your individual dog's personality, the better I'll be able to help you. If you haven't seen the other 3 videos, highly recommend you check them out. The link is in the description box below, and I'll also tag them here. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon.